Anyway, let's move on to our last topic of the day, and that is Skyrim's new survival mode and Bethesda's potentially underhanded tactics behind it.
This is weird. So I'll take this one.
Yeah. I mean, I've got points to bring up as well, but yeah, you
we
go
know
ahead.
about Bethesda's Creation Club. We discussed that previously, and we discussed ownership and what happens when mods become paid for. Are they no longer available for free-to-play people? We presume not. Are they going to stop updates? Whatever. But basically, a new a new mod has become available via the Creation Club, which is labelled as Survival Mode. It's a mod that's free for the next 2 weeks, and then it's going to cost. And from everything that I've heard about half a dozen people describe, it sounds just like Frostfall and lowercase, Need, combined together, which are two fairly popular mods that cover, well, pretty much everything in the survival mode.
Yeah. So just to give you people a bit of an update. So Frostfall made the weather system in Skyrim a bit more realistic. So certain regions, obviously, when you play the game, you visually you see that some places are colder than others. There are some places that are nicely lush and green, or generally not particularly cold. Like Riven is fairly nondescript, and it's just sort of out there in the wilderness. But then places like Winterfell is completely covered in snow. Frostfall makes it so the differences in weather actually makes a difference to your character. And if you're in a very cold area, you will feel it and will have to wear specific clothing and specific armors to combat that climate change. And iNeed added in thirst and hunger mechanics. So you would, not just to get your energy back, you would eat food, but you would get hungry and you would get thirsty. So you would have to keep an eye on those meters and drink and eat at the correct times, otherwise you suffer certain debuffs and things. And these are all things that are now in the standard survival mode. Now, you could say that they've ripped off a couple of mods, which I suppose technically they have. But then if you look back, some of these features were in Fallout New Vegas. That had a survival mode.
It did.
Where you needed to drink and eat. So they've kind of been in the big games that Bethesda have done before anyway.
Obsidian.
Obsidian, yeah. Was there a survival mode in 3? There wasn't, was there? It was just New Vegas.
I don't believe so, no. Fallout New Vegas from Obsidian was exceptional and easy to...
But yeah. But I mean, even Fallout 4 had a survival mode as well.
Did it?
It was added later as a free update again, but it was something that wasn't modded in, and it was just added to the game.
I should probably give that game more time at some point. It just rubbed me the wrong way. Well, I still gave it probably a good 30-odd hours, but...
Yeah. I've played through it for all the different endings, so I've given it enough of my time, although I haven't got all the DLC, so I'll give it a go at some point. But anyway, so yes, potentially this is a bit underhanded because there were already mods available for free to be able to do this in Skyrim. But as I've brought up before, there is, and I haven't checked this, but I'm pretty sure I've looked it up before, and there is a clause in the EULA for the Elder Scrolls construction kit that basically says anything you make with it is pretty much Bethesda's. They own it. Because it's made from their stuff, using their software, they own it. So, from a legal standpoint, they're perfectly within their rights to do this. But from a moral and community standpoint, it's a bit of a shady move.
But we always suspected that Bethesda were going to go one extreme or the other. They were either going... I mean, the initial argument was, hey, mods for our games. We should make money for this, but the creators should make money for this. What if this is just part of that? I mean, I looked up the developer of Frostfall, and they've been pretty much quiet since earlier on in the year. There's a chance that they've been brought in by Bethesda. There's a chance that they've been paid a whole bunch of money. And, they're sitting giggling in their, bouncy castle made of gold. Is that a thing? I don't think that's a thing. Not yet, at least. But yeah, they're golden bouncy castle. So there is that. But yeah, it's odd because the modding scene was always respectful to the original developers because they were building onto it. After all, they weren't overhauling the entire game. And even overhauls are respectful to the original developer.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at things like Skyrim, and if you play the original game with no mods in it, that game's broken.
That's rude.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that game that is fundamentally broken, and that's why the most popular mods you download are the unofficial Skyrim patch and the unofficial Dragonborn patch and everything else, which fixes a lot of the inbuilt inherent problems that Bethesda did not fix.
True, and I suppose your point of discussion would be that one day they could go, hey, thanks for making this mod, that's our mod now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we're going to issue it to people for free.
Technically, they've done it before as well. Like there was the official Skyrim high-res packs, which you could download before as a mod.
Yeah, see, if it was exactly the same files, I'd see your point on that one, but then it does make sense that Bethesda would issue the new ones. The issue is, I suppose, digital distribution, because all of a sudden mods can be just distributed over the internet. You know, a few years ago, when it was a bit more complicated than that, and you had to download a patch through a website, and everything was awkward, clunky, downloading a mirror of this and a mirror of that. When it was like that, they used to just hire the modder, because let's face it, anybody who's modding that kind of stuff in deserves a job in the industry. They have the initiative and the attitude to deliver that kind of content.
Yep.
Whereas, yeah, possibly, I don't know. I do still respect Bethesda for what they've done and what they do every time they release a game. Even the games they publish, even Dick Marchenko's, I can't remember what it was called now, the Navy SEALs game. But yeah, even stuff like that. And, you know, when they published In Exile's game, and when they published Splash Damage's Sprink, you know, many kudos to Bethesda, but this does just seem a bit odd.
Yeah, to be honest, they need to be more transparent in what actually went on. So, you know, if they have brought in the developer of the mod to him to make it official for tell everyone. No one's going to be upset. You don't have to hide behind it. People are more upset that they think you're ripping people off. Just come out and say, look, this developer, we brought him in, we paid him a bunch of cash. He built it officially for us, and we sat with him and made it official.
Yeah, I mean,
if they
brought in the mods, if they brought in the developer of those two mods, then surely most people should be happy that they've just acquired such dedicated people onto their team, and that eventually when they make Elder Scrolls 9 or 10 or 15 or 25, they'll have these people on their team.
Yeah, exactly.
These people with that initiative to do that kind of thing. You know, blimey, one day a modder might make it so that you can have a conversation with 3 people at once, or you walk into a room and people actually discuss what's going on in the room rather than elsewhere, and they've navigated. You know, there's a lot of potential for those games. They're overwhelming. They're great. Whenever they come out, they completely magnetize and hypnotize people. But, you know, modders deliver that, especially for games of that scale. Modders deliver that transition between one iteration and the next, and so bringing them on board to actually develop the next one, that's brilliant. I mean, you look at the Civilization series. Civilization 4 and 5 were headed up by former modders who were brought on board.
Yeah. Well, obviously, there's loads of things that have happened. Sonic Mania. It was made by a couple of teams from the community that used to make Sonic ROM hacks, and they've come out and made the best Sonic game in 20 years.
Exactly.
And the biggest one for me is Minecraft. So with Minecraft, you know, back in the day, there used to be a mod called Dr. Zark's Mo Creatures, and it added a bunch of animals to the game, including horses, before horses were in Minecraft. A few iterations later, horses turned up in Minecraft, and everyone's going, oh, you've stolen this from Dr. Zark. But there you go. In the build notes, horses provided by Dr. Zark. They put it in the build notes that Dr. Zark agreed with them to let them have the horses, and he helped them program them into the game. That's why they look and sound exactly the same as the Mo Creatures version.
Dr. Zark paid royally, I hope it said.
I don't know the official line of it, but it was all above board. And now, I mean, for a long time, there's been talk of an official modding API for Minecraft. Now, it is now being developed, unfortunately, not for the good/real version of Minecraft, and it's being developed for the Windows 10 and Xbox versions. But the guy who's making the modding API is a guy called Sarge, who made Forge, which every single mod for PC Minecraft is built to use. He built basically the unofficial Minecraft modding API, and now he's been brought in, works on Mojang, and is building the official API.
They've literally got the perfect person for the job.
Exactly. They've got the person who's already done it just to do it again.
So this is an example of it going right,
Yeah.
much like the Civilization thing. So hopefully Bethesda, I know they sometimes have an issue with transparency. Sometimes, similarly, they stonewall things, but hopefully it will turn out that they have taken these developers on board, and that's why they've done this. And the reason they're charging a little bit in 2 or 3 weeks' time is because they're going to be supporting this with patches and updates to have it run alongside all these other things that they're going to approve as they bring these other talented young individuals, not necessarily young, but new individuals into their team to improve their studio for future works.
To be honest, I don't think it's necessarily Bethesda that's not being transparent. I think it's ZeniMax.
Well, yes. You're not allowed to say the company name.
Because I think, knowing how I've seen Todd Howard speak before, I think if he was given free reign, he would go Sean Murray on the world.
He is the kind of guy, and a lot of the people, when you see them from the Bethesda development side, they are the kind of people that if they split off, they will be like Ken Levine's. You know, whatever they touch will be magical. You know, I am still waiting patiently for the next thing that he is going to announce and make. And there's a lot of people at Bethesda who are like that. You know, the company is this hub of brilliance and excellence. It's just they have this big corporate side. And I mean, ignoring the corporate side, if they do bring these modders in, then this could be a really good thing for the industry. Because those modders could then, after contributing to one game after their mod's been absorbed, they could then go, hey, look, I'm going to spin off, you know, I'm going to do a Kickstarter, I'm going to go to Fig, I'm going to go to Indiegogo, I'm going to do whatever, I'm going to seek private funding, and I'm going to make this great game that I've been thinking of for 5 years. And that kind of stuff, that kind of big company turning out little individuals who become a company is good. And so if we can get the modding scene involved into that, being almost sucked up into that, then that's brilliant. But more transparency is required.
But it's also another example is Valve. They've done it multiple times. Like Portal was made from that game Nabacular Drop, and they brought the team in and went, this is good. Turn it into a real game for us. Team Fortress. They got the modding team that made the Quake mod, brought it in. Here's Team Fortress 2, one of the biggest free-to-play first-person shooters ever. It's a good thing. Modders are the next generation of big developers.
Modders are, put simply, developers.
Well, they are.
They're just the cowboys of the Wild West of development.
Indeed.
Rather than the sheriffs.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that wraps it up for this week's Big Boss Babble.
No, I want to know Toby's opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think we've just woken him up.
Oh, no, I've been here. I'm just going to really echo the sentiment of everyone else. Going to slightly cheat. There's always going to be difficulty when talking mods, especially if there's money involved or that, but the more people programming and developing, the better, really. Unless they decide to make asset flippers.
Well,
Touche.
Short and to the point. Well done, Xavier. But so if anyone out there's listening to this and you're a budding developer, make mods, not asset flips. Thank you very much.